Welcome back to Recap Vault. Today, we're exploring the chilling 2021 horror drama film Girl in the Basement. The movie opens with Sarah and her overbearing father, Don, rushing to the hospital as Sarah's young daughter, Marie, struggles to breathe. Tensions run high as Sarah pleads with Don to drive faster. At the hospital, paramedics immediately attend to Marie, but despite their efforts, her life tragically slips away. The story then rewinds 20 years, taking us back to the beginning of Sarah's harrowing tale. At first glance, Sarah's family life appears normal. She and her sister Amy share a dinner table with their parents, Don and Irene. However, the atmosphere quickly sours as Don's authoritarian streak emerges. He forbids Sarah from attending a party, showcasing his control over the household. Undeterred, Sarah sneaks out that night with her boyfriend, Chris. The couple shares a magical evening, with Chris singing a heartfelt song he wrote just for her, solidifying their love. The next morning, Sarah returns home to face her fuming father. Their confrontation escalates, leading Sarah to declare her intention to leave home as soon as she turns 18. Inspired by her dreams of independence, she shares her plans to travel the country and work to support herself with her mother and sister. Unbeknownst to Sarah, Don overhears her aspirations, and his possessive nature kicks into overdrive. He retreats to the basement, revealing a hidden soundproof room concealed behind a bookshelf, a space that would soon become Sarah's prison. Months pass, and on Sarah's graduation day, Don deceives her into helping him move a box into the basement. Once inside the hidden room, he locks her in and coldly explains that the space was originally designed as a bomb shelter. Sarah's desperate cries for help go unanswered due to the soundproofing. Irene grows worried about Sarah's disappearance and contacts the police, but Don convinces them that Sarah has run away to pursue her dreams of traveling. Meanwhile, Sarah begins to realize the full extent of her father's malevolence. Don lays down the harsh rules of her captivity, forcing her to earn basic necessities, including clean air. When Chris visits the house looking for Sarah, Don fabricates a story that she has left town with another man. Days turn into weeks, and Sarah is left to endure Don's abuse. On her 18th birthday, he brings her a cake and a nightgown, further cementing his control over her. At this point, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more gripping stories. Hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest content. We appreciate your support. As time passes, Sarah becomes pregnant. Alone in the basement, she gives birth to a baby girl, whom she names Marie. 4 years later, Sarah has another child, a son named Michael. Despite her dire circumstances, she manages to create a nurturing environment for her children, weaving imaginative bedtime stories to keep their spirits alive. Above ground, Don continues to lead a double life. To his wife Irene and daughter Amy, he appears to be a concerned family man, while secretly controlling Sarah and her children in the basement. Irene's suspicions grow, and she expresses a desire to hire a private investigator, but Don vehemently opposes the idea. Over the years, Sarah gives birth to a third child, Thomas. She persuades Don to allow the baby to live upstairs, claiming there is no room left in the basement and that she cannot care for another child. Don leaves the baby on the porch with a note supposedly written by Sarah, asking Irene to raise him. However, he intercepts a hidden plea for help within the note and punishes Sarah for attempting to reach out. Life in captivity drags on, with Sarah and her children relying on their imaginations to endure. After 14 years, Marie, now a teenager, begins to express her desire for freedom. One day, Sarah notices a leak in the basement ceiling. Using a spoon, she digs through the damp area, eventually reaching the surface and signaling for help. A neighbor spots the signal and informs Don, but instead of addressing the situation, Don beats Sarah, causing her to miscarry her latest pregnancy. Amid the suffocating confines of a basement, Sarah's nightmare deepens with unimaginable tragedy. Don, cold and unyielding, buries the tiny body in their yard. His visits to the basement are a cruel ritual, alternating between bitter complaints and disturbing praise for Thomas, who has grown into a promising young athlete under Don's manipulation. Marie and Michael's growing curiosity about the world beyond their prison leads to relentless questions. They demand to know when they'll be allowed outside. Don deflects their inquiries with venomous accusations, blaming Sarah for their captivity and painting her as the cause of their plight. Under the weight of her children's questions and her unbearable reality, Sarah reaches her breaking point. In a storm of rage and frustration, she destroys their makeshift furniture, leaving their home in shambles. Collapsing from exhaustion, she is consumed by memories of her happiest days with Chris, the love she was torn away from so long ago. Moved by her despair, Marie and Michael tenderly cover Sarah with a blanket and quietly restore order to their shattered home. Their small, compassionate gestures break through Sarah's walls, and she resolves to tell them the truth. For years, they'd clung to a fragile illusion that Don lived upstairs with Aunt Irene to care for their brother Thomas. But now Sarah unveils the grim reality. She tells them their favorite bedtime story was inspired by her life and reveals the unthinkable that Don is both her father and theirs. The truth lands like a thunderclap. Marie, overwhelmed, suffers a severe asthma attack. In their despair, the children begin to question their very existence. Sarah, heartbroken, reassures them, placing the blame squarely on Don and reminding them of her unwavering love. As the years grind on, tensions escalate. Don's cruel words spark a confrontation with Michael, and their already meager food supply is rationed further due to Don's financial woes. When Don loses his job and the house faces foreclosure, his desperation takes a sinister turn. He attempts to poison the basement's air by connecting car exhaust fumes to their vent. Fate intervenes as young Thomas unknowingly interrupts the act, saving his mother and siblings from certain death. But life in the basement continues its relentless cruelty. Marie's health declines rapidly, leaving her on the brink. Sarah pleads with Don to take her to the hospital, promising silence about their captivity. He agrees but leaves Michael behind, a twisted assurance of her compliance. The story circles back to the film's opening. Marie, barely clinging to life, is rushed to the hospital. The doctors stabilize her, but Sarah's mind races with thoughts of escape. Seizing her chance, she spills water on the medical forms and slips away to find help. A moment of bravery leads her to a nurse, to whom she confesses her horrifying reality. The police act swiftly, rescuing Michael from the basement. Irene and Thomas are left shattered by the truth, as they witness the devastating condition of the boy they'd been kept apart from for so long. Meanwhile, Don watches helplessly from the back of a police car as his monstrous crimes come to light. The sun shines brighter than it ever has for Sarah and her children. Freed from their prison, they find solace in each other's company. On a warm summer day, they play in the countryside, their laughter ringing through the air. Sarah sits on the porch with Irene and Amy, watching the scene unfold with a quiet, hard-won joy. The sound of a motorcycle heralds a new chapter. Chris arrives, his heart heavy with regret for not searching harder for Sarah. He presents her with a gift, a pink motorcycle helmet he had bought for her years ago, a symbol of the dreams they had once shared. Together, they set out on the open road, embracing a future that had been stolen, but is now theirs to reclaim. After years of darkness, Sarah finally basks in the light of freedom.